Camera looks blurry. Davis looks sharp.
You're good, Desmond. You're good.
Like UHF, he was like it's HD.
I'm just prettier, Des. It's okay.
We'll give everybody a second to join here, and then we'll get started. Like people are filling in. Okay. Welcome to today's College Football Playoff Orange Bowl media availability with analyst Desmond Howard and David Pollack, with tomorrow's Capital One Orange Bowl game between number 2 Michigan and number 3 Georgia. We are very fortunate to have 2 College Football Hall of Famers on our ESPN roster representing the Wolverines and Bulldogs, with Desmond and David. Both are in Miami for ESPN's College Game Day, built by the Home Depot pregame show, which will originate from outside Hard Rock Stadium tomorrow from 8 to 11 a.m. before a full slate of bowl games, including both CFP semis from the Cotton and Orange Bowls. I'll give Desmond and then David the opportunity to give a few brief remarks before we open up the Zoom to media questions. A few housekeeping items. Please keep your lines muted unless I've queued you up for a question. And to ask a question, please use the raise hand function. This call is being recorded and we'll have a full replay available later today. We'll start with Desmond. Go ahead.
Well, thank you all for joining this this virtual Zoom interview. Excited about tomorrow's game. Excited about both games, actually, the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl. But games they here at the Orange Bowl. Both teams are itching at to get out there on the field and compete. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you guys have a bunch of questions. I just turn it over to David for his opening remarks.
Yeah, I'm excited like this. Y'all fire away.
All right, we'll start with the questions then. We'll go to Zach Klein first at WSB in Atlanta, followed by Jeff Schultz. Go ahead, Zach.
First, I want to know the wager between you two, and then secondly,
there has been no wager. Second question.
Dave, we know Stetson is starting, but who should start at quarterback for Georgia and why?
Stetson should start. I don't know if the players get as annoyed with this question as the media does, because I know we've been answering this question for a while. I guess a 20-3 touchdown ratio isn't good enough for the fans and for everybody out there, because that's what he had during the season. I know he struggled during Alabama. He threw for 340 or whatever it was, but had the couple turnovers. I think he gives them the best chance to win. So I think it's been pretty clear, his feet and what they bring to the offense. And I think he's been really good throughout the season. He's been great throughout the season. So I think it's clearly Stetson.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to Jeff, followed by John Nio in Detroit. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, David. I know you still live in Athens, and you were around in 2015 when Georgia was here before. Is it fair to say that there was a lot more excitement around that run than there is right now, that maybe some fans are a little bit, muted just because of, coming off the loss and everything?
Well, I think Georgia fans, just like Atlanta sports fans, are kind of quick to say, "Hey, wait a minute, don't look the other way," and try to be more passive probably than aggressive. But I think there's a lot of excitement. I think obviously when you go undefeated throughout the season, you build a ton of mojo, and then when you get smacked in the mouth in the SEC championship game, that obviously takes a lot of luster off. And I think there was a lot of hope and a lot of people looking forward to the national championship, an undefeated season. And then when that happened, it was like, oh crap, wait a minute, like this isn't going to be as easy as you thought it was going to be. So I definitely think that there's a lot of excitement both times around. I think it was more surprise probably back in 2016 to be there than it is now.
Okay, we'll go to John in Detroit, followed by Connor Riley at Dog Nation. Go ahead, John.
Hey, for both of you, obviously the Big Ten hasn't had a lot of success in the playoff. The SEC has. So I guess I'm sort of wondering how much you think a game like this can either reinforce that narrative of SEC dominance or take some of the air out of it, especially given how rarely these two conferences play in the regular season ever.
Go ahead, Dev.
I think that obviously if Michigan wins tomorrow, then you still got Alabama in the conversation, so you still got SEC teams. I don't really, think that takes a lot out of that conversation, so to speak. because you still got. And to me, it's not really SEC domination. It's more Alabama domination, But that's just my perspective. So I can't tell you how other people who may think it's SEC domination will view it. But even if Michigan wins tomorrow, you still got Alabama over there hovering. And Alabama's a defending national champ. I know people really excited about Georgia because, they were undefeated until they played Alabama. But that's the point. They were undefeated until they played Alabama. Alabama's still like that team. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think this talk happens a lot of conferences, and I can tell you from speaking to Des and everybody, we don't really care about that crap at all, and we don't look at that stuff. I mean, there's great teams, individual years. I'm not a big fan of history, that the history of who played somebody is going to dictate the future. But obviously, there's been a lot of teams from the SEC that's been very successful. But it's kind of cool to me that you got Michigan unranked in this thing, Cincinnati, who hasn't been in the college football playoff in this, Georgia, who's only been in it once. So I think it was kind of cool that you got a bunch of new blood, a bunch of new flavor, instead of the same teams I think we've had year in and year out. So I don't know that there's a lot of, I don't put Big Ten, SEC, all that stuff on the line in this game, but I think it's fun that we've had an infusion of new talent into the college football playoff.
Okay, we'll go to Connor, followed by Chris Heidel. Just a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raised hand function. Go ahead, Connor.
Hey, David. Hope you're doing well. How does this Georgia pass rush get after Michigan's offense, given it does have the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, and how little success the Georgia pass rush had against Bryce Young in Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody realizes that this defensive front seven is one of the best we've ever seen. But against Alabama, especially in the first half, struggled to get Bryce Young on the ground. And I think that's the biggest thing when you look at this matchup and you look at projecting towards tomorrow. Can Cade McNamara, and I think he can. I've seen it with him. He's got some ability to be creative and break tackles and make throws with people closing in on him. And that's what you got to be able to do to take advantage of Georgia's secondary. So I think that when you look at this defense, I don't think even Michigan, as good as they are at running the football, I don't think Michigan's going to go, hey, we're just going to line up and pound you and pound you and pound you. I think Michigan's going to be smart enough to do what they did against Michigan State. And if they need to throw the ball more, they'll throw the ball more. So can you protect? But for Georgia, they had guys in position a lot of times to try to get Bryce Young on the ground, and they were very unsuccessful. So when you get to Cade McNamara, can you get him on the ground?
Okay, next we'll go to Christopher. Go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking my question. How's everybody down in Florida? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Debs lives here, so he's in heaven.
I got a question for Desmond. Talk about Jim Harbaugh. I know I live in Baltimore. We have his brother John, playing, coaching for the Ravens. Do you see anything that his brother John's helping him out this year? Making him look better, or is John just realizing everything's getting better? He's finally finding a way to get Michigan back on what Michigan was.
Well, the first part of that question I couldn't answer because I don't know what John's doing. I think that John is busy trying to get his Ravens back, back on point because, Lamar's been out. They got the shit kicked out of them last week by the Bengals, so I'm not sure he's worried about what's happening with the Wolverines, my friend. He has enough problems in Baltimore that he needs to address.
Right. And I have a quick question for another follow-up question. You guys are friends on College Game Day, and you guys both went to Michigan and Georgia. Is there a friendly little bet going on that if one team wins tomorrow, you guys are going to go?
I answered that question at the beginning of this. I don't know, maybe you came in late, but I told him as of right now, we do not have a wager.
You should. Somebody should do something.
Okay. You asked your question. Yeah. You asked your question. Don't tell us what we should do and should not do. We'll figure that out.
All right, stay tuned for that tomorrow.
Possibly, potentially not.
Okay. Well,
next we'll go to Jennifer Hammond. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. Hello, Desmond. Actually, I would like this question for you to answer this question if you can. Can you give me a sense of, as an alum of the University of Michigan, just what it has meant to you, the pride that has seemingly been, I mean, always there's been, Michigan pride, but just this season with the win over Ohio State and the way that this team has really re-entered kind of the national picture and the narrative. If you could speak to that and how proud it makes you as an alum. And at the same time, actually another question too, about just how good this Michigan team is and where you think it ranks kind of in the history of great Michigan teams.
Well, I would take the last question first. And since this season isn't complete, I don't want to rank this team, because who knows? I mean, if they win tomorrow, they may win the whole thing. And so it's hard to rank them now when they're still, they're still playing. So I just don't think that's fair to this team. Obviously, they've done a tremendous job. The turnaround from a year ago to this year has been completely remarkable. We're talking about a team that was maybe picked to finish fourth in their division, was not even ranked before the season began. And here they are right now with an opportunity tomorrow night to play against one of the best teams, the consensus #1 team in the country until a few weeks ago, the Georgia Bulldogs. And if they're able to somehow find a way to win that game, then they will find themselves in Indy once again, but this time playing for the national championship. So that's just a remarkable turnaround. The pride for me, it really comes in being happy for these kids, like my legacy is my legacy. So I don't, have any issues with what takes place on the field from a personal standpoint. But I always want these guys to be successful. You want guys to have successful careers. You want them to have happy experiences at your university, at your alma mater. And so for these guys to be able to hang in there, because it's been some rough times, some rough years for them. And, they've been just beaten to death in the media. And they've watched their head coach, Jim Harbaugh, just dragged over the coals. And for them to, some people transferred, but it's probably good some people got into the transfer portal and got the hell out of there. But for those that stayed and hung in there, it says those who stay will be champions. And for them to stay and hang in there and fight with Harbaugh, and now they see themselves at this point, I'm so happy for them that they're having this experience. I think they deserve it. I think the coaching staff, especially the new coaches who came in here under such, tough circumstances, really tough circumstances, those guys, chose to join the staff, but they did, and now they're being rewarded. So to me, I'm just happy to see that these guys are experiencing this level of success. And I'm very, very, very proud of the AD, Ward Manuel, for making the moves that he made. Because this time last year, everybody and their mama told Ward he needs to fire Jim Harbaugh. And had he listened to all the outside noise, he would have pulled the trigger. And at this day and age, when so many ADs are really quick to pull the trigger and get rid of their head coach, Ward Manuel did not do it. They went to the table, restructured the contract. They got rid of Don Brown. They brought in some new coaches. And, I have to give credit and kudos to the AD, Ward Manuel, for making the moves that he made to put the program where it's at today. So I'm just happy for Ward, as an AD, making a tough decision, but sticking by it. And happy for the coaching staff, those who joined, and then the players, man. You have to be happy for these players, for them to go through what they've been going through and to be at this place, and playing the game tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll go to Chip Towers next, followed by Derek Futterman. Go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, for David, I consider you somewhat of an expert on pass rush. And if you, I don't know, and I did come in late, so don't rip me if you've already asked.
He really is.
But I'm pretty fascinated with Michigan's two edge rushers and all that. I mean, just you've seen Georgia play a lot. You've seen those two guys play. Can Georgia handle this? And just, can you kind of handicap them as edge rushers and edge players? Not, we hear so much about Aiden Hutchinson, but Ajabo's pretty good too. I understand.
Both first round draft picks, both just special and unique. When you look at Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, he's an animal. I mean, he's a big sucker too, by the way. This ain't no 6'2" defensive end. Like, he's every bit of 6'5", big, powerful, but's got a quick first step. You know, within their defense, what I like about Michigan's defense is they really allow them to, if they want to rush inside, so be it. Like, listen, I'll be the first to tell you, defensive ends, we don't get that a lot, okay? We have to stay outside contain. Those guys will come underneath and win. But Hutchinson, I think he'll be the #1 pick in the draft type. He's that kind of good. And then Ajabo, I think, is a top 20 pick, just an elite first step. This kid's been playing football for 5 years. Like, he's not even scratching the surface of what he's going to be. 6'5", huge frame. I mean, super lightning quick, plays both of them play their tails off. That's what I love about them the most. They play hard. They're blurs across the screen. Like, they're chasing QBs. They're chasing the ball carrier wherever it goes. So if Georgia gets in predictable 3rd and long passing situations, they will not hold up against those guys. I mean, those guys are too good to put on an island and say, yeah, you know what, McClendon and Sawyer, go ahead and hold up on the outside against these guys. I think they'll lose those matchups. That's why I think Georgia has to run the football, have balance, not get in those situations. But those two dudes, you know, those two guys will be high draft picks. And the only other guy I think, you know, on Georgia's side of the ball, it's a pass rusher D lineman that'll be a high pick like that is Jalen Carter. I think in next year's draft, when he's a junior and he's draft eligible, you'll be talking about him as a top 10 pick in the draft and in the coming year.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go to Derek, followed by Shane McGowan. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey guys, thanks for doing this from Barrett Sports Media. Just a question or two about the broadcast itself. So how have media broadcasts of college football, how have they changed since you both started on the air?
Go ahead, Des.
Game day was maybe a 90-minute show. Now we have a 3-hour show. So it's changed dramatically from a sponsorship deal and from the I guess to the extent in which we cover college football, because you know you have more hours to fill now, more time to fill. So I don't know. That's such a broad question. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but you know, the hours of game day has really changed since I first joined it, and the sponsorship deals have gotten they've gotten huge.
Well, I was brought in with the new hour change, like, so it was I kind of was a part of that change that Des was talking about. I'm obviously the newest. Well, no, Reese is the newest member of the staff, but you know, I got brought in with Aaron Andrews when they did the ESPNU, the first hour on ESPNU, and we were trying to beg Des to get out there and do it with us, and beg Kirk to come out there and do it with us. We were trying to, hey, somebody come out there and help us. But I just think that I've watched it over the years since when I was in college and Des was doing the show, and you know, just I've watched it evolve and just grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And, you know, the celebrity guest pickers grow bigger and the audience and the following grow bigger and bigger. And, you know, to obviously to be a part of it's been really, really cool. But, you know, to go from no fans last year to having fans, you know, back again this year. So I think it's evolved and turned, and I think it will continue to, like, as long as everybody keeps getting older and we ain't getting any younger. So.
And as a follow-up, so this year specifically, how has the situation with COVID-19 impacted the broadcast, impacted protocols on set, how you guys broadcast? What changes have been brought by that?
Did you say me?
Either one of you. It's fine.
Oh no, because it broke up. How did the protocols on set change? Well, before COVID, we would have fans come up and take pictures after the show was over, and not only sponsors, you know, we have sponsors too. We would have a tent that we would go sign autographs for our title sponsors and stuff like that. All that has pretty much been eliminated now because of COVID. So we don't have the fans who are coming up to the set now taking pictures or any of the sponsors. So that has really, you know, changed as far as some of the COVID protocols are concerned.
Yeah, and no VIP backstage. Nobody's back there unless they're vaccinated. So a lot of that stuff has been changed.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Derek. All right, we'll move on. We'll go to Shane next, followed by Angelique. Go ahead, Shane.
Hey, thank you, guys. First off, I just want to ask you guys real quick, what do you guys think about when it comes to this game, the discipline of both teams. I mean, they're going to be hyped, the adrenaline's flowing, everything like that. But do you see it being where one team may be a little undisciplined in some ways just because they're too anxious, and will they be able to get back on track? Being unbiased out of both of you guys, which team do you think might be that way? And if that's the case, can it hinder on what you're trying to accomplish out here by getting further in these games?
There's a lot on that bone, David. I'll let you go ahead and tackle it.
Listen, I don't think, Shane, I don't think there's a way to say, who's going to have more penalties. Both these teams, I think, are incredibly disciplined. They're made of the same stuff, man. Like when Jim Harbaugh talks to his team, week one and in the offseason, like he's building his team to beat Georgia. Like
right.
Literally physicality. I'm going to hit you in the mouth. When Kirby Smart does that to start the season, he's building his team like Jim Harbaugh to beat Michigan. Like these teams are both made of the same stuff. They're both built the same way. They've done a good job this year taking care of the football. Both quarterbacks have been quote unquote game managers, that have kind of, the running game is the crux. The defense has been great. So literally they're mirror images of each other throughout this season. And I think it's the stage, obviously you say the big stage, a lot of Georgia players have been here before. They've seen this, they've played in big games, but Michigan's had big games against Ohio State where they beat them. And they've had big games in the Big Ten championship game where they came out and throttled Iowa. So I think that's one of those things where it's extremely hard to predict who's going to play a certain way, but both of them very, very, very similar type programs have built their teams the same way.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. We'll go to Angelique. Go ahead, Angelique.
Thanks, Bill. For Desmond and David, you just sort of touched on the quarterbacks, but I was curious your impressions of how Cade McNamara has handled having J.J. McCarthy behind him, how Michigan has used him, and also do both of you think that using J.J. McCarthy is part of Michigan's game plan on a Friday night, a major part of it?
I think that Cade McNamara has handled it masterfully. I think he's had some help in dealing with that situation, because if you read, quotes from Cade, it's not an easy situation to deal with. I think that the coaches have handled it extremely well. I think that Cade has showed maturity, but I think also that having JJ behind him has helped push him, make him a better quarterback also. And I believe that he's bought into the mantra, the team. So he understands that, you have a kid with this type of talent, he has to see the field, and everyone knows this. Like, everyone sees him in practice, like, this guy can help us win games. And so he has to see the field, whether it's, a package here, a package there. And we're not talking about putting them in garbage time, doing some cleanup duty. No, when the game is still in the balance, he needs to be out there. And Josh Gaddis has done a tremendous job of inserting JJ into games, and he will continue to do that because he has that type of talent. You just can't sit it on the bench. So I think everyone understands, what they're trying to accomplish, and they've bought in, and I think that's why it has worked and been effective so far for Michigan, because I don't think that formula works at a lot of for a lot of teams.
Perfectly said.
All right. With that, I just want to thank David and Des for being a part of this call today. Thanks to the media for joining us. And just a reminder, we'll be sending out the replay later today. College Game Day will originate from Hard Rock Stadium tomorrow at 8 a.m. Have a great bowl season, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks, guys.
Dean, turn that computer off.